All right, guys, welcome back. Eric here with Guitarsenal. We're going to be taking a look at a really cool piece of gear here. This is a Fender Acoustasonic Telecaster. Now, at the onset of this video, Fender's put out several different models of this particular guitar. They do a Stratocaster shaped one, a Telecaster shaped one, and most recently a Jazzmaster shaped guitar, all with slightly different voicings and a slightly different vibe to them. I opted for the Telecaster. I bought this particular guitar kind of early when they first came out because I was just so drawn to it. I love Teles, so I'm one of those kind of guys that I can just get behind a Telecaster and I feel instantly comfortable. So one thing I can say about picking up the instrument initially is the mahogany neck is super nice, and it's got a nice feel to it. It's a nice slim neck. It's easy to play. So if you're comfortable with a Telecaster, it's certainly going to get into that vibe. So this is sort of a hybrid guitar. One of the engineers from Taylor went over to work for Fender, apparently. I think they've maybe, I don't know, had something going on there, but anyway. And they wanted to develop this guitar. So you've got essentially a piezo, a body transducer, and a magnetic pickup, all specially voiced for this guitar. And each of the pickup settings puts you into some really different territory. The first couple of settings, one of them is kind of like a parlor style guitar with a smaller body, and they can actually dial in and focus on like the woods and the way that certain body styles sound. Obviously this is a relatively small guitar. It does have an actual sound hole and it does project a bit, but don't expect this guitar to replace an acoustic in an acoustic environment. I think this is more for the people that want to play acoustic live and do it a lot easier, not to mention a more friendly guitar to play. Because of the way this guitar is set up, I don't have to run acoustic strings necessarily. Right now I am running electric strings, so I can bend and play like I would on an electric. And depending on how I focus my pick attack, I can get some really cool sounds out of the guitar, very much like a real acoustic would respond. All right, so we're going to go all the way from the largest, darkest voicing, which would be essentially on a Tele would be near the neck, and we'll work our way through some of the sounds and listen to the body transducer, which I broke the top on this guitar hitting on it a little bit too hard at a gig. I was trying to play drums on it, and I did crack the top on this guitar. But this one sounds amazing. This one is set up with electric strings. I think they're like 11 through 52, so still a heavy electric string. But it puts this guitar into a really cool vibe in terms of the overall sound. So let's give it a listen. Second voicing, which is going to be a little bit tighter of a smaller body sound, probably better for like finger picking and stuff. Let's give that a try. So you can play it kind of like in a hybrid style, you know, bending a little bit, probably more than what you do on a regular acoustic, but still getting away from electric land to where you can still treat it like an acoustic and it resonates and with a little bit of reverb on the amp. So I feel like that's important to mention. You can play this thing through a PA system. I've actually gigged with this with the Bose, you know, the Bose system, the L2A1 system, I believe is the one they call that. They've got a few different systems, but it's one of their most recent L-series Bose systems. But I've played through the PA systems before, and it sounds pretty good in that environment. I'm playing through a 1966 Fender Pro Reverb black bass amplifier set relatively low, and I do have a tape echo hooked up to this particular amp, and I'm getting just a little bit of reverb from a Source Audio collider, and I've got a few other little delays set up. Now this guitar responds really well to boosts, even distortion, which I'll turn the drive down on this Penny Saver Royale, and once we get towards the bridge pickup, I'll demonstrate that this thing can get some grind. I'll talk about a few of my, let's just say I'm going to discuss the pros and cons. There are a few of each with this particular guitar. All right, now we're on the first setting, that is the body transducer. Now what we have is an actual microphone inside of the amp, or inside of the guitar. So you can get percussive sounds out of this instrument if you want, and also it's the most rich and open sounding, I feel, the most closest to an acoustic that you're going to get out of an amp and guitar combination like this, but you certainly wouldn't get this sound out of a regular solid body Tele or Strat. So it responds really well to that style of playing. If we switch to the fourth mode, this is going to put us into the body transducer in combination with the magnetic pickup. Okay, so this is cool. Now you've probably been asking about the controls the whole time. Well, the volume is the volume throughout the entire sweep of settings with the pickup selector. This blends a lot of the voices depending on the situation that you're in. It can also blend between a few different voicings, okay? So on the first two settings, just the two what we would consider piezo sounds, you can blend in different body styles as you go through those first two settings, okay? On this setting, you can use this control to blend between the magnetic and the transducer pickup. So you can get this kind of quasi like redneck jazz tone out of it, if you will, and I think you'll be able to listen to what I'm talking about here. So let's start with the knobs all the way out. This is how it sounds. can work with that, or you can blend out a bit of that transducer. You notice it's not nearly as loud, okay? You can blend a bit of that out. It gets this almost kind of quasi out of phase sort of sound, which is really cool, okay? So my only overall complaint about the guitar is that you do have a, issue with overall global tonal control over every single setting. It'd be nice to see that. Now on the bridge pickup, if you bring out the bridge all the way, and we break down this tone control, it does appear to get a little muddier, but you still have the brightness of this transducer pickup in there a bit. So let's go ahead and bring all of those up and listen to it. See, that just dials out less of the magnetic pickup, but you still hear the original voicing of the guitar, and it seems like it's not really a global tonal control like you would expect, only bringing out the bridge pickup. Now, if I'm all the way up, this is a straight-on bridge pickup, straight into the amp, no drive or anything. This is just what the guitar has, okay? So it's great, and it has that overall acoustic thrash when you pick hard on a piezo pickup, even though it's an electric pickup. But I find you do have to dial down that knob just a bit, and you get a little bit less pronounced sound of that. And I think that's where this guitar really shines for like a quasi acoustic jazz or that type of territory, or for pop music. It could certainly fit into that category. Let's add some of the tape echo on there and listen to this sound, and we'll dial out a little bit more of this, the overall electric pickup. Okay, let's give it a listen. All right, so you can get a little more, like that sound reminds me more of an ES335. If I had a global tonal control that I could really make that as bassy or trebly as I wanted, I could totally nail an ES335 bridge sound. Maybe not, actually not even as growly as that sound. I think more of the acoustic electric sounds that like Pat Metheny gets on certain sounds, as well as like John Abercrombie and John Scofield. They get that kind of chorus jazz sound. In fact, I have a chorus here, oddly enough. I have a chorus here on the table in front of me, and I have a light drive I can turn on. So let's see if we can get that kind of jazz fusion, almost that John Scofield kind of thing going on. Let's give it a listen. All right, so now this is with an actual overdrive pedal added in. And I'm going to turn the tone control down and the frequency control on the overdrive. Since our bridge is a little out of control and there's nothing we can do about it, maybe we can darken it up a little bit using our overdrive pedal. All right, let's give this a listen. Now with the chorus, I'm going for kind of a John Scofield sort of thing. So let's give that a listen. Sort of that quasi-distorted chorus 80s jazz sound. Let's see if we can get it here out of this Acoustasonic Tele. All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to dial out a little bit. All right. All right, so there's a nice drive sound with some chorus, maybe getting into that kind of 80s jazz thing possibly there a little bit. Let's refer back to the next selection, which gets us back into the acoustic modes, and I'll make sure that drive is off. It might sound a little funky on the acoustic. And let's give it a listen, and I'll try blending back on the blend knob in the opposite direction on each of those settings so we can hear that. I think that's the only thing that we haven't heard yet in today's video. Now, it's also worth noting there's an internal lithium-ion battery that must be recharged. They do give you a micro USB cable. They don't give you a charging block. You have to have your own block, so you have to use your iPhone block or pick one up from a local store to plug the charging cable into. So you do have to charge it, but it holds a charge a pretty dang long time, okay? An overnight charge, you're certainly good for, a week worth of gigs, no problem. I forget the actual amount of hours, but it's certainly like over 24 hours, I believe, that the guitar can be plugged in and still work, at least. I mean, I haven't charged mine very much. I've been using it quite a bit. I've only had to charge it once, and I think over a course of maybe playing it, 8 hours or so every couple of weeks, I've only had to plug it in like maybe once to charge it over the last 2 months. So, I mean, as long as you're keeping it plugged in regularly, you're never going to have to worry about the guitar running out of battery for like a standard gig. Even if the gig was a 5-hour gig, it's going to have plenty of juice there, no problem. And I do like the fact that you don't have to worry about batteries. You can just plug it in and charge it. But it is one consideration, is that the instrument does have to be charged, obviously, the internal battery. All right, let's give that acoustic voice a listen. Very cool. All right, so it gets a little mellower and it does change the voice. It gets a little brighter to my ear as we break that off a bit. Here's the full-on voice of the next selection, the first position, number 1. All right, so you hear a little more bass accentuated in the lower notes when the knob is all the way down, and you get a little bit more top-end sparkle with the knob, you know, all the way up. So if we break this off about halfway, it should give us kind of a well-articulated overall sound. Very pretty sound. All right, let's listen to the other selection, all the way down this time. All right, that's a cool sound that we didn't discover there in the beginning. Is in the second position, you get some of that body transducer when you start to break this down. So it gets out of the acoustic voices or blending those voices and gets more into blending in the rest of the guitar. So let's try blending in a little bit more of the transducer. Now this will give us a mellow neck jazz kind of sound out of this guitar. Kind of more of a... Very pretty, but you still get a bit of that bite and that top end sparkle and the really nice defined bass notes that you get out of a nice full-bodied acoustic. So I can certainly hear that in there. All right, one thing I didn't really cover. Let's see what the blend control does when we're just on the body transducer. All right, all the way up. All right. All right, so obviously blends in less of the body transducer, and it sounds like it gives you a nice chunk of that neck pickup in there once you're on the body transducer. Or what I'm saying is the darkest acoustic sound is what sounds like is in there. So let's break that off about halfway and see. Again, if we had a global tone control on this guitar, we could totally dial in some super great jazz sounds. But because you are a little bit limited on the overall tonal palette, it does limit the vocal opportunities that the guitar would have if there was just another knob maybe down here for the overall global tone. All right, so let's give this a listen. get this kind of quack in there. Really, really, really cool setup. I could noodle on this guitar all day. I could give you sounds all day, but I'm trying to give you an idea of the sort of tones that you can get out of this particular guitar. I do consider it a great studio tool, and definitely makes playing live a lot easier with an acoustic. And the acoustic sounds you get are certainly believable. And the thing I like about this guitar is I can integrate this into my standard electric rig. I can plug my Les Paul into this setup, or my Strat, or whatever other guitar I've got. I can hit an overdrive pedal and I can just wail and play like I would on a regular electric amp. But if a tune calls for a few acoustic things that can sort of get into both environments, I simply just plug this into my existing rig, and of course apply distortions carefully. I mean, it will feed back like crazy, just like an acoustic will. But it gives you a lot of opportunities to chase some sounds that you wouldn't be able to get with just any other Strat or Tele for sure, or really any other electric guitar. So thank you so much for watching today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. We post every Friday here on Guitarsenal. We hope you'll tune back in. And I don't know, I did pick up this guitar from Guitar Center. I might go back and see if I can send this back to Fender and get it fixed. But there is a pretty sizable crack here in the top. I love this guitar, and I love the way it's set up, and I love the way it plays, and I sure would hate to them have to replace the guitar, and then I got to go and start all over again to try to get it sounding the way I want it to. But anyway, have a good day. Many more videos on the way. We'll see you next time. All right, I'm going to hit that last sound there, maybe blend a little bit more of these two pickups, and we'll hit a light drive, this time with no chorus, for the outro, and see how this sounds. Maybe it'll sound bad, but let's give it a try. Have a good one. See you next Friday. All right, here we go.